Have you ever felt like someone was smiling at you, but their eyes were saying something completely different? That uncomfortable moment when every instinct screams, "Something's wrong here," but you can't explain why. You're not imagining things. Carl Jung, one of psychology's greatest minds, spent decades studying this exact phenomenon, how people's hidden emotions leak through their carefully constructed masks. Here's what most people don't realize. When someone close to you harbors secret hatred, it doesn't stay hidden. It shows up in 8 specific, observable patterns that Jung identified through his clinical work. These signs are so subtle that even trained therapists sometimes miss them, but once you know what to look for, you can't unsee them. Before we dive into these psychological insights that could protect your mental health, if you're someone who wants to understand the hidden psychology behind human behavior, the kind of deep insights that most people never learn, make sure to subscribe to the Psyche Weave. We are building a community of people who aren't afraid to look beneath the surface of human nature. Today, I'm revealing all 8 signs. By the end, you'll have a psychological framework to protect your mental health and trust your instincts when something feels off. And sign number 8, it's so psychologically profound, it will change how you see every relationship in your life. Jung believed our unconscious mind always reveals itself, no matter how hard we try to hide it. Modern neuroscience proves he was right. When someone secretly hates you, their facial muscles literally betray them through micro-expressions. Here's what to watch for. First, eyes that don't crinkle when they smile. Genuine smiles activate both mouth and eye muscles. It's neurologically impossible to fake consistently. When someone resents you, they can force their mouth to smile, but their eye muscles refuse to cooperate. Second, momentary lip compression when you share good news. Watch their lips for a fraction of a second. If they briefly press together or suck inward, that's their unconscious mind trying to suppress their real reaction to your success. Third, eyebrow flashes that seem off, too quick, too aborted. Their emotional brain recognizes you and has a negative reaction, but their social brain immediately shuts it down. These micro-expressions happen because your brain processes emotions in just 12 milliseconds, faster than conscious control can suppress them. That something's wrong feeling you get, your unconscious mind is detecting these microsecond betrayals of their true feelings. Trust those instincts, they're scientifically accurate. Jung's shadow theory explains why people who resent your success will unconsciously sabotage you while appearing helpful. This is called reaction formation. They literally do the opposite of what they feel. Watch for these patterns. They give advice that sounds reasonable but leads to failure, like telling you to wait for perfect timing when you need immediate action. They forget to share crucial information that could benefit you. They offer help that somehow creates more problems than it solves. Most revealing, they mysteriously become unavailable during your crucial moments, right before your big presentation, during your crisis, when you're about to close that important deal. This isn't coincidence. Their unconscious mind is acutely attuned to when withdrawing support will cause maximum damage. This happens because their unconscious mind needs to reconcile feeling threatened by your success with their self-image as a good person. Sabotage, disguised as help, solves this internal conflict perfectly. They preserve their self-concept while eliminating the threat you represent. Jung said everything that irritates us about others leads to understanding ourselves. When someone secretly hates you, they project their own shadow qualities onto you, and modern neuroscience confirms this phenomenon. Here's how projection looks in real life. They accuse you of traits they actually possess. If someone repeatedly calls you manipulative or controlling, there's a high probability they're struggling with these exact qualities themselves. They criticize you for behaviors they regularly exhibit, constantly calling you too emotional while being highly reactive themselves. Most damaging, they attribute negative motives to your positive actions. When you offer help, they see manipulation. When you share success, they see bragging. Their unconscious hostility colors everything they perceive about you. This happens because acknowledging their own negative traits would threaten their self-concept. It's psychologically easier to see these traits in you instead. Their distorted perceptions of you are actually a precise map of their own psychological landscape. Their projections become involuntary confessions. People who secretly resent you will offer support, but only when it doesn't threaten their ego. Jung called this persona versus shadow. Their public mask contradicts their private feelings. Research shows this conditional support actually magnifies emotional highs and lows. Here's how conditional support reveals itself. They celebrate your small wins, enthusiastically getting coffee with you when you land a minor project, but mysteriously become unavailable during your big successes. They'll offer comfort when you fail, seeming almost relieved to console you, but seem genuinely uncomfortable when you triumph. Watch for supportive words that lack genuine enthusiasm, forced smiles, distracted attention, or conversations that quickly shift away from your achievements. Most telling, their help often comes with subtle conditions or expectations. They support you as long as you remain in a position where they can feel superior. The psychological mechanism: your success triggers their feelings of inadequacy, but social norms require them to appear supportive. The result is half-hearted, conditional emotional availability. Their unconscious mind can tolerate your small wins, but your major successes force them to confront their own limitations, creating internal conflict they resolve by withdrawing support precisely when you need it most. Jung understood that envy and competition often hide behind friendship facades. Someone who secretly hates you can't celebrate your wins because they're unconsciously competing with you. Modern research calls this covert competition, and it's more psychologically complex than you think. Here's how hidden rivalry reveals itself. They immediately share their own similar or better experience. When you share news, you mention your promotion, they instantly talk about their bigger role at work. They minimize your achievements while maximizing their own. That's nice, but my project required more technical expertise. Watch for zero-sum thinking patterns. They compare everything as if life is a fixed pie where your success means their failure. Most telling, they're literally unable to offer genuine congratulations. Their enthusiasm feels forced. Their praise comes the subject away from your achievements. The psychology: your success feels like their failure. Research shows this stems from what psychologists call zero-sum mindset, the unconscious belief that there's not enough success to go around. Jung recognized this as shadow projection. They can't tolerate witnessing growth that highlights their own stagnation. In their unconscious mind, your winning literally means they're losing, triggering competitive behaviors they may not even recognize in themselves. People who harbor secret resentment will subtly exclude you from social situations or withhold information that could benefit you. Jung would say this is their shadow trying to diminish your social power. Research shows this serves two distinct psychological functions that reveal their true intentions. Here's how social power manipulation reveals itself. They forget to invite you to gatherings where important decisions are made or relationships are formed. They share opportunities, job openings, or useful connections with others, but somehow never think to mention them to you. Watch for deliberate exclusion from group chats, meetings, or social circles where they position themselves as gatekeepers. Most telling, they withhold crucial information that could help you succeed: deadlines, procedural changes, or insider knowledge that everyone else seems to have. When confronted, they'll claim it was an oversight, but the pattern reveals the psychological truth. They're systematically limiting your access to social and professional resources. This serves two psychological functions Jung understood well. First, it satisfies their unconscious need to punish you for existing. Your success or potential threatens their fragile self-concept. Second, it attempts to weaken your social connections to make themselves feel more secure. By scarcity around you while positioning themselves as the insider with all the power. It's shadow behavior disguised as social coordination. Now we're getting to the signs that even trained psychologists sometimes miss. Jung emphasized that our emotional reactions reveal our unconscious state. When someone secretly hates you, their emotional responses will be disproportionate or misaligned with situations. Research confirms this emotional leakage happens automatically. Here's how mismatched emotional intensity reveals hidden hatred. They show disproportionate anger over minor mistakes you make. Dropping a cup becomes a major crisis. Being 5 minutes late triggers explosive frustration. Watch for excessive enthusiasm when you experience setbacks. They seem almost gleeful when you face challenges, showing energy they rarely display for positive events. Most telling, they display emotional coldness during your vulnerable moments. When you're sharing something painful or need support, they become distant, distracted, or oddly formal. Finally, notice inappropriate emotional intensity in neutral situations. Casual conversations suddenly become charged with tension. Everyday interactions feel heavier than they should. The psychological explanation: their conscious leaks through emotional intensity that doesn't match the context. Jung understood that suppressed emotions don't disappear, they emerge through what psychologists call emotional displacement. Their true feelings toward you get redirected, creating responses that feel bizarrely disproportionate. When emotions don't match situations, you're witnessing their shadow self in action. And now, the sign that Jung considered the most telling, and the one that will change how you see relationships forever. This goes beyond words, beyond actions. It's about something Jung called psychic contagion, the invisible energy transmission that happens below conscious awareness. When someone secretly hates you, you feel it energetically before your mind understands it. Modern neuroscience confirms Jung's insight. Our mirror neurons and autonomic nervous systems pick up emotional states in milliseconds, creating what researchers call unconscious emotional contagion. Here's what this looks like. You feel mysteriously drained after spending time with them, even during seemingly pleasant interactions. There's tension you can't explain that doesn't match their words or behavior. Your body unconsciously becomes defensive, crossed arms, stepping back, avoiding eye contact without knowing why. Most telling, you feel like you need to perform or prove yourself in their presence, walking on eggshells around their hidden resentment. This is their shadow self creating an energetic field that your unconscious mind detects with surgical precision. Your intuition isn't imagining things, it's your most reliable early warning system, evolutionarily designed to detect threat and deception. Jung believed our unconscious minds communicate with remarkable accuracy. When you feel that shadow self is recognizing their shadow self, and that recognition can protect you before conscious damage takes root. Jung taught us that becoming conscious of unconscious patterns is the path to psychological freedom. Now that you know these 8 signs, from micro-expressions to energy shifts, you can protect your mental energy and make informed decisions about your relationships. Remember this crucial insight: someone else's hidden hatred reveals their internal conflicts, not your worth. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Don't let someone else's unconscious shadow control your psychological well-being. Your assignment: over the next week, observe the people in your life through Jung's lens. Trust your intuition. Research proves it's more psychologically accurate than conscious analysis. Which of these 8 signs resonated most with you? Share in the comments and let the Psyche Weave community know. Your insights help others recognize these patterns in their own relationships. If this deep dive into Jung's psychology helped you identify toxic dynamics you hadn't seen before, subscribe for more insights that go beyond surface-level psychology. Next week, we're exploring Jung's advanced techniques for dealing with toxic people while maintaining your psychological integrity. Until then, trust your instincts. Jung would absolutely approve. This is the Psyche Weave, where we uncover the hidden threads of human psychology.